really simple process. Depending on your bag size, you want to do about 1 to 2 tablespoons, but I got a teaspoon measurement here. Less is always more. This is a slow release, so you probably can't burn it. So I just finished up a second dose of Osmocote. I figured about 2 teaspoons would be good for these pots. Some maybe even up to 1 tablespoon was pretty good. So we got our melons right into here, and then our vanilla, so I'm using for cuttings. Most likely this one's gonna go away. This one's probably gonna go away, and I'm only gonna keep the big 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They just have the best growth, and I'm gonna really try to get them into those pots, which I think those can hold, I don't know, maybe like 20 liters. Maybe they can hold a little bit more. These pots are just too small, so I did Osmocote in that. So at least I'm prepping the soil. When I look in the mass of these, they're just pretty much probably a gigantic root ball, which is probably why we have all of these roots, which is why I probably recommend doing a trench method. And I think like some of the big growers, they do like really big bags, or they just do a giant trench and just let vanilla reroot, because you can see all the roots that are just spilling out, and vanilla really wants to make sure it's comfortable before it actually starts to flower, because even though these are big enough to flower, they haven't flowered and they've only continued into vegetative state. So good vegetative state, really good to see, really healthy vines, no issues there, but vegetative nevertheless, and we don't want that. We want vanilla pods, so we want to make all the vanilla pods grow. So other than that, I'm gonna probably space these guys out a little bit more, give them a little bit. I'm gonna put the melons down there. These guys are already forfeit. They're gonna get turned into cuttings, and then probably those other ones that I'm just gonna establish the vanilla crop, and everything looks good. So just a little Osmocote update, getting these ready. These are just empty container vessels and whatnot. So I'm gonna space out melons. This way I'm gonna do a melon crop right behind here, and this will give it a good amount of sun that it needs, and then vanilla will still get the shade. So we just did a quick neem and Dr. Bronner's, just insecticidal soap. I didn't have any like vegetable oil and whatnot, and pretty much the emulsion from the neem is a emulsion itself. So I just did 2 liters more or less, and then did a half teaspoon. So it smells nice and peppermint and back here, which does help. And I'm trying to keep these guys mainly organic, so that's why I'm using these things. I noticed on my melons down into here, you notice that my melons, where there's a little bit of curling, like a slight little bit of curling right there. So I just wanted to hit them, but overall looks like the melon transplants look pretty good. So I did some Osmocote, that's soil, and these are soilless more or less, and did a little bit of Osmocote. You can kind of see it right into there, those little flakes. So there's Osmocote, and then I did Peter's 945-15, and I did the great part 2 vanilla migration. I'm gonna go do Osmocote and vanilla, and so I have new cuttings. So I'll go walk over this way. So I got Trina working the camera. You gotta like watch your head. I bumped my head on this thing a billion times. But see, it makes like a nice shade pattern. You can kind of see where the shade. So I just kind of test vanilla, and it's like sun tolerance up here because it's different than when I've been growing them. So I want to see what tolerance vanilla has out here, so I can be cheap with the shade net. So a really simple process. Depending on your bag size, you want to do about 1 to 2 tablespoons, but I got a teaspoon measurement here. Less is always more. This is a slow release, so you probably can't burn it if you put too much, but you don't want to put a lot of any of the fertilizer. If you use Yara, it would immediately dissolve, and it would probably burn your plant. So we'll do less is more. So just a simple scoop, level it, sprinkle it all into here. So I'll do 2 for this one since it's a bigger vine. So 2 teaspoons, and like that. So there's a couple ways you could do it. This is just from the dropping of the tree. And then you have it like that, and then you can just work it into the soil. And then once it contacts moisture, that's why I have these under the tree. So once it contacts moisture, then it'll start telling the prill to open up, and then it'll start to dissolve. And this is good for about, I would say 3 to 6 months. I mean, if it looks dissolved, you can do a nutrient test and just do the EC meter that I always have and see if there's nutrient in the soil, and then adjust based on that. Your plant's gonna tell you if it's happy or not. If it's growing really big, looks really thick, then it's working and whatnot. The one thing I worry about using the trees, which I might reposition these guys, is I see all the ants crawling up, and ants bring viruses, so I just don't like that. So I'm just gonna go around, Trina's gonna time lapse it. I'm just gonna go to each one and then dump a couple teaspoons into that, and then hopefully we'll have lunch.